Hey everyone. Ready to really get those brain cells firing?
Oh yeah, this is gonna be a good one.
Today we're tackling time. What even is it?
Yeah.
We all experience it,
Yeah.
but we don't often actually stop and think about it. Is it this river we're all just flowing down? Or maybe some kind of dimension we're traveling through?
Yeah.
Or could it even just be an illusion?
Yeah, it's a total head scratcher. It's puzzled philosophers and scientists for centuries. And honestly, sometimes I still lay awake at night thinking about it.
Huh. Good. That means you're perfect for this.
I hope so.
Our guide for this deep dive is going to be an episode of the KM podcast called Pasted Text.
I love that episode.
It's called Real Talk and Laugh. They've got such a cool mix of ideas about time in there, from hard physics to more out there philosophy stuff, even some mysticism thrown in.
Yeah, they don't shy away from anything, which I appreciate.
Exactly. It's really cool.
And you know what I think is really smart about how they structured the episode is they start with the view of time that's probably the most familiar to us.
Yeah. Okay.
Time as a measurable thing,
Okay.
a physical phenomenon.
Okay, so clocks and calendars and all that. Makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Like the way we track appointments and birthdays. But then they jump right into Einstein.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Einstein's theory of relativity, which basically totally blew up how we understood time.
Oh, completely. It was revolutionary. Game changer.
But to be honest with you, whenever I try to get into relativity, all that space-time stuff,
Yeah.
I get lost.
It's dense.
Can you break it down for me?
Yeah.
And for our listeners,
Absolutely.
pretend we're back in high school physics class.
Okay. Imagine time not as a separate thing, okay, but as interwoven with space. They form this fabric,
Okay.
and it's called space-time. And here's the wild part. This fabric, it's not rigid. It's more like a trampoline.
Okay, I like where this is going.
Right. So heavy objects, think planets, stars,
Yeah.
they create dips in this trampoline fabric. And that, my friend, is what we experience as gravity.
Okay, so I'm picturing a cosmic trampoline. Got it.
Exactly.
But how does all that affect time?
The closer you are to one of those massive objects, the deeper you are in that dip in the trampoline, right?
Right.
And the slower time actually runs for you compared to someone further away.
Seriously?
Seriously.
Yep.
It's like you're in slow motion compared to someone standing on a flat part of the trampoline.
So time is literally running at different speeds, depending on where you are.
That's relativity for you.
That is wild.
It is. And that's what Einstein was getting at with that famous quote.
Oh, which one?
The one where he says, the distinction between the past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion.
Oh, yeah.
It's not that the events themselves aren't real, but our perception of their order, their timing, it can be different. It's relative. Depends on our emotion and our position in, you guessed it, space-time.
Okay, my mind is officially blown.
Good.
My everyday understanding of time is just wrong.
Pretty much. KM also brings up this really cool example in their episode, the twin paradox.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of that. Something about twins in space travel.
It's a classic way to show just how weird time dilation can get.
Okay, tell me about it.
Okay, so picture this. Identical twins.
Okay.
One stays here on Earth, the other one blasts off into space,
Okay.
traveling at almost the speed of light.
Okay.
Now, when the space twin comes back to Earth, they will have aged less than the twin who stayed put.
Whoa. So the twin who went on the space adventure comes back younger, Benjamin Button style.
Exactly. Because time slows down the faster you travel. So the space twin, they're experiencing time more slowly than the Earth twin. It just shows that time's relative, not some absolute thing.
Okay. So maybe all those sci-fi movies about time travel, they're not so far-fetched after all.
Maybe, maybe not. It's complicated.
Okay, fair enough. But then, in KM's episode, they totally shift gears.
Yeah, they do.
And they take us into philosophy.
It's a bit of whiplash.
Big time.
Going from all those hard physics to the more abstract stuff.
Okay, physics is focused on measuring time, quantifying it.
Exactly.
But philosophers are like, hold on a second.
Yeah,
Is time even real at all?
that's the question.
Or is it just something our minds made up?
That's a big one.
Okay, so instead of time being this dimension,
Yeah,
they're saying it's just a way for our brains to make sense of everything.
exactly. And KOM brings in some heavy hitters from philosophy here. Like Immanuel Kant, he argued that time is this fundamental category of human understanding. It's the lens we use to organize all our experiences, but not necessarily a real thing in itself.
Okay, I think I get that. It's events still happen, But it's our minds that string them all together.
Right.
Treat this sense of a timeline, a flow.
Exactly. And that challenges our normal idea of time as this shared linear thing. If it's all in our heads, our experiences of time, they can be totally different.
Oh, totally. Like maybe your Monday feels way longer than mine, even though technically we both live through the same 24 hours.
Precisely.
But then KOM goes and throws us into the quantum world.
Things are about to get even weirder.
I have a feeling we're heading down a rabbit hole here.
Oh, yeah.
Let's save that for part 2.
Sounds good.
I need a minute to process all this time-bending stuff. It's a lot.
It's mind-blowing for sure.
It really is. All right, so we went from thinking about time as this like cosmic trampoline
Yeah.
to wondering if it's even real at all, like outside our own heads. But I am ready for the next level. Hit me with that quantum mechanics stuff.
Okay, buckle up. Because when we go down to that subatomic world, all those normal ideas about time, they just go out the window.
Okay, good.
So in KOM's episode, they mentioned this thing called superposition.
That one sounded pretty sci-fi to me.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Basically, superposition means particles, like electrons, for example.
Okay.
They don't exist in just one definite state, not until they're observed anyway.
What does that even mean?
It's like they're in multiple states all at the same time. Imagine an electron spinning in both directions at once.
Okay, hold on. So instead of a particle being like a coin, heads or tails,
Yeah.
it's like a spinning coin that's both heads and tails at the same time.
You got it. That's superposition.
But that's crazy.
And it gets even weirder because when we actually measure a particle or observe it,
Yeah.
it's like it suddenly has to pick just one state.
So like our observation
Yeah.
forces it to be one or the other.
It does. It's like our observation collapses this like fuzzy multiple possibility thing down to just one definite state.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So we're affecting reality just by looking at it.
In a way, yeah. At the quantum level anyway.
Okay. So is time like mixed up in all this too?
That's the big question, right? Tough to say for sure, but KM's episode brought up some pretty mind-blowing ideas.
Okay. Like what?
So they talked about this physicist, Carlo Rovelli,
Okay.
and he actually proposes that time might not be fundamental to the universe at all.
Wait, what? Time isn't this bedrock that everything else is built on?
That's what Rovelli is saying. He thinks it might actually emerge from something even deeper, like the interactions between particles.
Time isn't the clock that governs the universe. It's more like the ticking sound the clock makes because of how it works inside.
Exactly. Time is a side effect, not the cause.
Okay, I'm going to need a second to process that one.
It's a lot.
It really is. But you know what this reminds me of? That block universe idea.
Oh, yeah. KM talked about that one, too.
Where past, present, future, it's all happening at once, right? Like a giant loaf of cosmic bread. And each slice is a moment.
You got it. In the block universe, all moments exist at the same time, from the beginning of the universe to the end. There's no flow of time. It's just this big, unchanging block of space-time.
So every moment is frozen, like in this cosmic bread loaf. And what we feel is the flow of time is just our consciousness, like moving through the loaf.
That's the idea. And it's pretty wild when you think about it. The past isn't gone. The future isn't unwritten. It's all already there. We're just experiencing it one slice at a time.
That really makes you think about free will, though, right?
Yeah.
If the future's already set, do we really have any choices? Are we just along for the ride?
That's the big philosophical debate. And it's a good one. But before we go too deep on that existential stuff, KM shifts gears again.
Okay, where to this time?
They took us to Eastern philosophies and how they think about time.
Right. I remember that. It's like this big contrast. Western thought, it's all about linear time.
Yeah.
But Eastern traditions are more focused on the present moment.
Right. Almost like they see time as something you can transcend, not just measure and analyze.
Okay, so how do they see it?
Traditions like Buddhism and Hinduism, they put a lot of emphasis on the idea that time is an illusion. They teach that the past is gone, the future isn't here yet, and all we really have is this moment right now.
Yeah, it's like that saying, yesterday is history, tomorrow's a mystery, but today is a gift. That's why it's called the present.
Exactly. And by focusing on the present, these traditions say you can break free from anxiety about the past or worrying about the future. It's about finding peace in the now.
That's so powerful. But it makes me wonder, if our experience of time is so subjective, can we actually train our minds to experience it differently? Slow down those weeks flying by and really savor each moment more.
That's where things get really interesting, and that's actually where KOM takes us next. They dive into the psychology of time.
All right, so we've talked about Einstein's super flexible space-time, and those quantum particles that exist in like a million states at once. We've even wondered if time's all in our heads, like a total illusion.
It's a lot to take in.
It really is.
Yeah.
But now I'm ready to hear about the psychology stuff. Like, how does our brain mess with our sense of time?
Physics is all about the objective nature of time, but psychology, it zooms in on how we experience time subjectively.
Okay.
So like our emotions, our age, even our environment can change how we feel time passing.
Oh, absolutely. We've all been there, right? Time flies when you're having fun, and it crawls by when you're bored out of your mind.
Totally. But KMS's episode points out that there's way more to it than that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Our brains actually play tricks on us when it comes to time.
Okay, so.
So they mentioned this psychologist, William James.
Okay.
Super influential guy. And he noticed that as we get older, time seems to speed up.
Oh, tell me about it. It feels like just yesterday I was a kid with the whole summer stretching out ahead of me, and now, bam, the weeks just vanish.
It's such a common experience. And James thought it was because our brains, they process less new information as we age. When you're young, everything's new and exciting, right? Your brain's working overtime to absorb it all.
Yeah.
But as we get older, we've seen a lot already. Those neural pathways, they aren't firing as fast.
So it's like our brains are making this super high quality recording when we're young, lots of frames per second. So time feels longer.
Yeah, I like that.
But as we get older, we're dropping frames, everything speeds up.
Exactly. And it's not just about aging. Our emotions have a huge impact, too. When we're engaged, stimulated, time flies by because we're in the moment.
Yeah.
But when we're bored or anxious, our minds wander and we start counting every second.
I hate when that happens. So basically, how we experience time is always changing. Depends on what's going on inside us and around us.
It's like we each have this internal clock that's constantly adjusting its speed.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
But it makes me wonder, can we control that clock?
Yeah.
Slow down those weeks that seem to be on fast forward and really savor each moment.
That would be an amazing skill to have, right?
Totally. And KOM, they mention these mystical experiences where time seems to, like, disappear completely.
Yeah.
Is that even possible?
That's fascinating stuff. There are all these reports from different spiritual traditions about people reaching states of consciousness where they lose all sense of time.
Like they're outside of it.
Exactly. They experience this eternal now where past, present, future, it all blends together.
It's like reaching pure presence, so absorbed in the moment that time stops existing.
That's it. And I've heard people say similar things after meditating deeply or even being super focused on some creative project. Like they lose track of time completely.
Wow. So maybe our usual way of experiencing time is just one way of seeing reality. And there are others out there, ways to even transcend time.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? It opens up all these questions about what consciousness is and what we're even capable of perceiving.
Honestly, after this deep dive into all these different perspectives on time, I feel like we've just barely scratched the surface.
Oh, totally agree. We've explored time as a dimension, a mental construct, something psychological, and even a gateway to something bigger than ourselves. But at the end of the day, time remains a mystery.
Yeah, but maybe that's okay. KM said the mystery is part of what makes it so fascinating. It pushes us to keep questioning, keep exploring, keep wondering about what this whole existence thing is all about.
Absolutely. So to everyone listening out there, we want to leave you with this. What does time mean to you? How do you experience it in your own life? Embrace the mystery, keep those questions coming, and make the most of the time you have.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the wild world of time. Until next time, keep exploring.